First and foremost, all credit goes to Bricky. So head on over to his channel, like and subscribe his content. Great content. I've tried to refrain from seeing this. I've seen a little bit of it. So the parts that I've seen, there is a little bit of cussing. So just letting you guys know. But today we're going to be reacting to Bricky's Every Single Warhammer 40k faction explained, part 1. And then next week we'll do part 2. This was recommended to me by a commenter. So, and I thought it was a great idea. So, here we are. Now, I am going to bring up some scriptures that are going to make you think a little bit, right? You're definitely not going to hear this stuff in the mainstream institutionalized churches, right? But I got into Warhammer about 2 months ago, and it's a great universe, you know. It's something that has a foundation that doesn't matter what ideology or political spectrum you are. You know, it's I'm about to run this table with a warcog or wog. Sorry, I'm gonna get crucified for that one. But anyways, enough said. Let's get into this.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is, I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, but mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is. Now you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about.
And that you will get very addicted to. Okay, sorry.
They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weaves, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand.
Like my ex.
Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So, overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore.
Very, very vast. I just read my first book with the Eye of Terror. Great book, by the way. If you're just getting into it, that's a great place to start. Oh boy. That's why I love it, man. I can't help it. I can't help it. That's why I started getting into this, and basically what I do is I just take, you know, ideas. Yes, it's a fictional story, but it doesn't mean there are ideas there, right? And I just see if we can apply it to the Bible, right? You're going to be very surprised. But anyways, let's get to it.
And background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in.
That's what I'm talking about.
I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not...
So, I'm looking at the Salamanders, the Tau, or the Blood Angels right now. Sanguinius speaks to me because I know what addiction's like. I'll just say that. It's not easy. So he speaks to me a little bit. But the Salamanders are just noble, you know, and they actually care about humanity. But the Tau, I just like their sniping ability in the game, you know, in the tabletop, at least from what I could read. But the Blood Angels also have the melee. So I don't know, man. I'm still trying to see which one I wanna, or what army I'm trying to choose. So, anyways, enough of that.
Not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well in case you were curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. What?
And probably one of the most evil races of the Warhammer universe. Holy moly. But I haven't really read into much of the other ones too much, so other than the Tau a little bit. Anyways.
What is Warhammer 40,000? Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote, first of many quotes in this video.
Helps me out.
It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die.
What a terrible existence that would be, man. Having to be like one of the most powerful humans as a psyker, and then having to go sacrifice yourself to the Emperor. That would suck, man. My goodness.
To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter and the laughter of thirsting gods.
Ain't that the truth? Holy cow, man. Holy cow.
Everything blows.
Yep.
And it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim.
I learned about this. I didn't understand what in Space Marine, you know, the video game, what Exterminatus was. I thought it was just the horde mode. Did not realize it was a planet killer. But anyways.
Everything sucks. But that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil. But being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity, in its own right, is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like...
Actually, real quick. Check this out. I gotta remember which one it is. Okay. Right here. John 16:2. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. Crazy, huh? Anyways, just interesting.
mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil.
I kind of look at, humanity in IRL and in the Warhammer universe is kind of like a gray, a chaotic, or neutral chaotic, I guess, per se. I've seen people go from being really bad to being a good person, right? And good people just the next moment they just snap, So I look at it as gray. You know what I mean? But anyways, enough of that.
You pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are cool. They look cool. They got cool outfits. They got cool weapons. They got cool...
Can't deny that. You can't deny that. If you see someone like the superhero, armors or suits compared to the villains, night and day, man. Night and day.
Cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man. It's hair, whack. The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic demigod who...
Real quick, I got an interesting one for you guys here. This is something you probably never heard before. So, in Isaiah here, we have Lucifer, right? And you've heard in, in the churches and stuff that this is Satan. Well, you're going to see here that it's not. Nowhere in here does it say that this is Satan. But anyways, I'll read this to you. Now, I'm not saying anything that the emperor represents this guy or anything like that. I'm just taking some ideas here, right? Anyways. Okay, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? So I want you to pay attention to this part right here. Nowhere does it say Satan is the son of anybody, right? Okay. How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakest the nations? There's nations here, and this is kind of at the beginning, right? This is when all the entities fell, right? Okay. Quite interesting here. It says humans were dated about 100,000 years ago. So, interesting. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. See, he's ascending into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of congregation on the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Now, Revelation 17:8. The beast that thou sawest, and is not, which means he's not in John's day, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Now, when you see the pit here, it is the abyss, or the pit. They're synonymous together. It's like a prison house. So just think of it like that. Kind of a dark prison, I guess. And they on earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. So this goes with, how like the emperor on the throne, he's being held together, was pretty much immortal, So just crazy to think about it, and it's right there, but you don't hear it within the mainstream churches, Anyways, let's get back to this.
Led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the emperor of mankind, was a psyker.
I don't know about that one.
Psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker. Top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created 18 Primarchs to have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you're wondering...
So, you can actually... Here. Think of this right here was kind of like that, right? Kind of like the Horus Heresy. These guys were servants of God. And, fell. Now, this guy here, quite interesting. Says right here, right here. This is Enoch, I forget, chapter 69, verse 12. And the son of the serpent, who is strong. So, anyways. There is something else I want to bring up there too, but we're not there yet.
I don't know what chaos is. Remember what I mentioned earlier? The warp, that immaterium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans.
There it is. Yep, there it is. Okay. What if I told you there were 5? Right? But you never heard this before. So right here. And these are the chiefs of their angels, the names of the leaders of hundreds, and their leaders of 50s, and their leaders of 10s. The name of the first is Yaquan. This is the one who led astray the children of the holy angels, and brought them down unto dry ground, and led them astray through the daughters of men. Right? And you're going to see here, we're not there yet actually, but anyways, there's like 5 of them right here. That's interesting that he said that. I mean, anyways. And real quick, the Bible does talk about 2, right? The main one and this guy, the Assyrian. The waters made him great. The deep set him up on high with her rivers. This is very interesting here. You have Niflheim. Niflheim contained a well, Verglamer, from which many rivers flowed. Interesting. Right here. And this is Genesis 1:2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. See if you notice something here. This is the goddess Hel in Norse mythology. Take a look at that one. This one. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Very interesting. So I told you guys are not going to, you're going to get stuff that you don't hear in the church, right? Did I bring that one up? I think I did. We'll wait. Sorry about that, guys. It's my first time doing a react video.
Kind of evil, those chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40k, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity. You're so boned. Now, since the Horus...
And that'll bring us right back to the Age of Strife 2.
Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So
I agree with the Emperor that blind faith is very dangerous. Because religion puts a man between you and the text, right? Or the truth of the text, let's say. And it squeezes and it puts it in a box. You know what I mean? Or they'll have their, like, let's say the Catholic Bible. You have the Catholic Bible or the Baptist Bible, right? Anything that has the Catholic or the Baptist or any denominational name on it, you know it's going to be biased, right? And you let blind faith, you don't look at the facts of the matter. You're going to be led to what verses I read there, well, they'll take you to the synagogues or the churches, right? And think they're doing him a service when they're not. You know what I mean? So I agree with the Emperor on that. Religion can, yes, I'm a Christian, but there's a difference between religion and having, I guess you could say, a relationship, per se. Religion puts you in a box, right? Tells you can't read this, you can't, you gotta dress this way, you know what I mean? Or you gotta believe in this way, without doing the evidence yourself, right? Because if you believe, like with Christians, if you believe, I'm sorry, I'm not talking to the camera, but if you believe in Christianity, in a God, right? Prove it. It's as simple as that, right? Or else why do you believe it? You know what I mean? So blind faith gets you nowhere, in my opinion. I know this may upset the apple cart, but you got to look at the information yourself. Research it yourself. Don't let a guru or a pastor or something like that tell you what is and what isn't. Anyways, before I get on to ranting, right?
Now you have this thing called the ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the emperor. He is now the holy emperor god, the god emperor.
I just did a video on the Aquila, too, on the Imperium of Mankind, if you want to check that out.
Of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic Gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called...
You know me, I'd be the first to go. The Emperor would be like using his little psychic, scorpion move, get over here. And I'll just be screaming, Mama, Mama. I would be the first to go.
Called
Anyways.
being a heretic. Heretics die in 40k. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you preach in that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the chaos gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Pretty shit now, man.
This is who I think, like Henry Cavill and all them should look at doing something kind of that's like a regular human in like a linear storyline, because the Space Marines, of course, have been done, but also there's a lot of lore you gotta stuff in there, right? At least with the human, you can stuff lore in it, but it's like a linear thing, right? I don't know. That could be just from a noob mind of mine or whatever. But anyways.
You finished? That's it, man. Game over, man.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day, like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams.
I love it in Dark Tide. Even though, Fat Shark, what are you doing? Man, what are you doing? Anyways, I don't want to get into that.
It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery,
sounds like my
cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible, while the planet
the Russians in World War II
tanks roll up behind them.
Pretty much.
Gunships block out the sun,
except for those.
Tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoof prints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower.
If somebody in the comments could tell me how many guardsmen can you put on the tabletop at one time? Because I know there's armies that are, you could put a bunch on there, like the orcs, and I'm sure the guardsmen too. So let me know that. I guess I could look it up too, but anyways.
They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachin Jungle Fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get
You gotta be kidding me.
So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches, where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knife
the dirt
on
on
the home planet. You
Or the
have the
mud.
Valhallan Winter Soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years. The Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle.
Wow.
And then, of course, the big one, the Cadians from Cadia.
God bless.
The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight.
Can you imagine that, man? Getting up day and night, having to learn your weapons and how to do, how to shoot artillery, and day in, day out since you're 15 years old, man. Boy, the Imperium sucks.
Fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness,
right,
like I do daily. To quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are.
Can I have it, please? It'd be nice to have that many people and like tanks. Oh, well, no. I'd probably screw up somewhere, man, and screw up everything, and we would lose big time.
Mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k. They're the army I collect the most,
Honorable.
the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However,
someone doesn't
more
look
accurate
like the
fire
other.
and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines. The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and
Alright, so I do want to get into this. Some of you guys probably heard this, I'm sure, but most of you probably haven't. So, Genesis 6:2. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of man, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, and men of renown. Now, of course, I'm not saying the Astartes or resemblance of this, whatever. Just take, here it says the men of renown, basically superhumans type stuff, right? So, at least that's what it sounds like to me. And of course, they were giant. But, anyways, interesting stuff. You don't hear this in the church for some reason. It's right there. Religion, right? Anyways.
Superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people, and these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard, and there's a whole bunch of other.
You gotta admit, the White Scars are probably one of the coolest, I would have to say, at least in my opinion. But they don't necessarily, like, resonate with me. But they are probably one of the coolest, I would have to say.
other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys, strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong, and that's a lore problem, but the White Scars by Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies. Buzz
Can I have one, please?
With the speed of buzzsaws.
That's me when I'm trying to work through something.
Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m.
It's a resemblance of their planet, I think. It's their, because it's like a magma or a volcanic. Basically, their Primarch, right, is named Vulcan or something to that extent. I think. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that. Anyways,
line at a White Castle. Black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes. Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil like everyone else is.
See, that just sounds cool to me to be able to have a bunch of flamers on the tabletop, you know. But the problem is they're gonna get picked off by range, you would think, but I don't know. I'm not an expert, so there's probably things you can do, stratagems.
Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine Legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings and wolves and tons of wolves and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space Wolves, angry, big teeth. Blood Angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the Red Thirst. They have Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super
real quick.
gay for...
Hold on a second. I want to... Okay. Here it is. We'll just do this one. The horse leech had 2 daughters. Let's read the whole thing. No, this isn't the... This one always has misspellings and all that. Come on now. There we go. There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There's a generation, oh how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor of the earth and needy from among men. This what gives them away here. The horse leech have 2 daughters, crying, Give, give. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, yea, 4 things say not is enough. What do leeches do? They suck blood. These are vampires, or at least something to that extent. Very interesting. Anyways. Okay.
Sanguinius. Dark Angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and...
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never.
Here comes the Inquisition.
Death Watch, a fancy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though. Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock. And I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fist and
The
stuff.
Zealot of the Zealots.
Those are the main ones right here. Here, quote from the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be...
So real quick, this is also for the Adeptus Mechanicus as well. Here, I'll wait to bring that up, actually.
Be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror, they are my defenders of humanity, they are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife, a tool for anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is
This is another army that I'm looking at because I do like to have all my bases covered. But anyways.
Extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
No wonder people are afraid of technology.
The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult.
So, where is it? That ain't it. Here we go. So, Daniel 2:43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. So clay is kind of a, what is that? A euphemism? I don't know. It represents, flesh, right? A lot of times in the Bible. So, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. Now, who's the they here? I want you to, it's a very interesting thing to look at. Who's the they? And now here, shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Very interesting. Is this like a Adeptus Mechanicus thing, right? Where they're a lot machine and a little bit flesh? I don't know. And who's the they, right? But anyways.
On Mars. Now, these people are a little bit weird because they don't actually really believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh, whoa, Bricky, that sounds like some heresy. A little bit. They believe in the Emperor, they believe in his power, but they don't pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine god that they believe permeates in all machines. And if you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different...
I have a thing, so I started out with doing the Omnissiah with the videos that I've been doing lately. So if you want to check out something interesting with that, it talks about the image of the beast, right? It says there's a wound to his head, and then it starts talking about the image of the beast. So is this him jacking in to the computer, or I don't know. But anyways, check that out. I'll put the links in the or in cards. My goodness. But anyways,
different god as well. That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish, but they also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks,
yeah.
and they make everything that you have. So you
deal with it.
can't really tell them to fuck off.
No.
Because you're not gonna win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their Omnissiah at least makes sense from their standpoint. They believe it to be a deity that permeates through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun, your Dune Strider Walker, your giant mechs, your huge ships. The Omnissiah is present through all. And the only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun...
That machine spirit don't like me, man. My electronics are always going at me. Well, no, I can't say that because this thing has held strong. So, just gonna shut my mouth before I upset the apple cart.
To work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to sit on your knees.
Do we actually know what High Gothic is? Is that like an actual Warhammer language or something like that? Let me know in the comments. Anyways.
And pray to that car. You need to rub oil on your robes, and you need to go ahomina, homina, 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 homina. Full stop. If you want your damn thing to work, if you want your gun to fire, you need to do that. They are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working. And if you look at them, I don't know how that works. So they obviously know something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Archmagos, Magos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. Yeah. This
looks like he looks like a wasp. You know what I mean? He's got that wasp look to him. I don't know.
This is the group we're talking about. These are these weirdos. Here, the Omnissian Creed. The credo.
I bet you this is weird.
There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay.
Hey, even Jesus says the flesh is weak, so.
But death. Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the God of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace
Look
them
at
with
that ship
mechanical
just
parts,
penetrating
because that
through
is
the
what
warp.
he wants, and that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism.
Never a good.
Now, for their army side of things, they are with the Scutari. The Scutari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people.
That's one thing you never want to do, man. Mix religion or government, religion and tech, or cyborgism. Yeah. Let's just say you never want to mix religion and power together. It will always turn into the Imperium.
Between. They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so paranoid. I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're...
Did you guys see that, man? The guy had a beer gut. Out of everything you can make, you make a beer gut. Sorry.
So scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle.
That's me playing video games.
Yep. the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an eagle in Lego City.
The Sisters of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium.
Here's something for you ladies out there, why this isn't brought up in the church. At least I haven't heard anything on it. I don't know. Where is it? Right here. Okay, Exodus 15:20. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron. Did you see that? A prophet was a big deal. And she was, at least from what I could tell, one of the only one, or not the only one, but at least only one spoken of. And it's a girl. So, and Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with the timbrels and with dances. So prophet is like second hand. You got your priests, and then you got your prophets, right? Of course, you had Moses up here, whatever. But yeah, prophets were up there. And why nobody says anything about it, I don't know. But yeah, and not only that, she was the sister of Aaron, the high priest. So, there's something for you ladies out there, and something kind of like the sisters around us. They don't go to battle or anything, but anyways. At least, not that I know of. They could have. But I don't know. Shut up.
Ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary, and it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire.
I would not date
the
that.
The bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics. Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the ecclesiarchy church, that's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons, the bolter, the flamer, and the melter.
I wouldn't even want to mess with them.
With extreme prejudice. Literally.
Extreme.
They are the closest things we have to nuns in space. And I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher.
Are those seals like protection of some kind or something like that from like the warp, or I don't know. I'm still trying to figure what those are.
They have small babies that they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit.
Just to let you guys know, cherubs are not little babies with wings, okay? Get that out of your head. They're way bigger and way weirder than babies. But anyways.
They drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battle.
That's actually quite interesting. I do want to bring this up. I was going to say this for another video I was going to do, but where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. I was right there. Revelation 20 or 21:2 through 3. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. Sorry, I'm just thinking of the church going. Sorry. Anyways, God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. It's quite interesting that it's described as a her. In Farscape, which was a show back in the 90s, date myself, but they had a ship called a Leviathan, and it was a living organic ship, right? That could fly in outer space. So, quite interesting. But anyways, just something interesting there.
They drop churches into battles and they blare war hymns and holy music from their frigates in low atmosphere and shower holy water across the battlefield. These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome.
Massive
they can literally
sea
stave
dump. I'm
off
sorry.
demons
Sorry.
on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the
Yummy.
warp, the demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons.
So, if you don't know, the warp was basically created from like humans, mostly the Eldar and maybe the old ones and stuff like that, from constant war, depravity, all that stuff. Anyways,
And all these girls, oh, not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as
There you go,
as
ladies.
they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo
oh my
Goblin,
goodness.
yeah, which I can't unsee anymore. I gotta
No,
say,
me either.
I love their design. I think they're extremely cool.
They are
another
cool.
Army that I'm currently
I do like
collecting.
that.
They just
That is
released
cool.
a whole new line of
You gotta
figures
like the organ
very
launcher.
recently, and they look
Gotta
wonderful.
love it.
Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint, from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badassery in
I say so.
a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it,
You
is
do
it
gotta
over the
love
top.
it.
But Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, this is such a cool faction. By
I might have to
Bolter
look
Shell,
into them as
Flamer
well.
Burst, and Melta
They
Blast, the
look cool.
mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking
Preach it.
of burning demons,
I can see.
I don't know
Grey
why
Knights
that made
are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100,000 guardsmen, there's one Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's one Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's...
So real quick, are the Grey Knights on the tabletop, can they have shooters there too, or is it just all psychers? And only can do the psycher phase. Anyways.
one Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be.
Yeah, when you're dealing with chaos, man, you have to be on your game, man. On your toppity-tippity top game. So you have to have people with pure of heart and that aren't nuts, So
Since the demons of the warp are the warp and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. he has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them.
One sword
use
to
my
rule them
power,
all.
use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently.
That's funny.
And he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets
I'm
too
such a
close to
child.
it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all the characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that the Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons and the Grey Knights arrive
Later.
and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk. And so guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard.
Pretty
kind of
much.
people. They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups, small amounts of models because they're so dang strong. You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so
you do?
every
Okay.
dead Grey Knight
Okay.
hits really damn hard.
Answered
They're fun
it right
though if
there.
you like that kind of fast striking kind of army. Oh, and also Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are
I'd say
as
so.
holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, you know that they're holy enough, you want to be holier, Grey Knights. Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial.
So real quick, also demystify this word too. So the word holy means to be separate, right? That's what it means. If you don't know what it means. Anyways.
Imperial Knights.
Oh, Lord, he coming!
Do you like gigantic walkers the size of homes?
It always makes me
or
laugh for some reason.
medium-sized buildings? Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn? Do you want a gigantic old-school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then you got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them,
buddy.
because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old-school like house feel to them, like literally like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions
Purge
of
the
troops. Like,
Xenos.
these things do not mess
Pretty
around.
much.
And they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or chaos god you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everyone.
By the way, those giants that I was talking about in Genesis 6, the Book of Enoch talks about how they are the demons. And that there is also in Jubilees where it talks about mankind started genetically manipulating things and making hybrids. That's where you get your cedar and all that. If you want to, think I'm crazy, that's fine, but it's there. But anyways.
Everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them,
Big
go to town.
boy.
They make for a great painting project too. Getting more back down to earth. Let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold. If guardsmen are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers, the Adeptus Custodes are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodes are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay, but that's all. I only have 3, okay?
Okay, 10. No.
They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are
same way.
super special.
Can't blame them.
If a guardsman is 6 foot, a Space Marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8
I like
feet.
them all.
These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra. Earth, Terra. Themselves. These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room, hence custodians. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted.
They look like the almost, not exactly, but like the Sith Guard. Anyways.
People. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal.
Dang.
They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the throne room and every other area.
Someone taller
of
than
Holy
Shaq.
Terra for their entire purpose in life.
And muscular and everything.
Oh my lord, are they terrifying. These custodians
I'd say
put Space
so.
Marines to shame. If you liked your super soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take...
Back in the day, I used to have pants like these. That's funny.
Take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilan Shield. The Aquilan Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives.
Purple and gold.
A regular guardsman
like a
is the
rusty
protection
gold
of this giant
kind of
8.5 foot tall golden god, because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered, but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely small amount of them, but that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training
especially when they don't make
good.
them anymore.
And the custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready. Always attuned to dangers unseen.
I got
Days,
ADHD,
months,
son. I gotta
years
move.
pass by in
If I don't move,
frenzied
man, I'll
blur
go
beyond
nuts.
those walls. Yet within, little moved.
Not actual
and nothing
ADHD,
changed.
but
For 100 years, I did not but wait.
Gotta
Yet
move,
had
man.
any
Gotta
threat
move.
appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, or also known as blanks.
there was a lot of cultures around the world where their priestess would like shave their head, and probably some kind of like that too. So that's interesting. I'm sure that's where they got it from. You know. Oops, wrong button. Why did I do that?
We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So as every mind is somewhat connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that
What's my
mind
mic doing
suppression,
there?
normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable.
That sucks too, because you think you're not doing that, or you're touching the mic, or, you know, you're just moving your hands, and then it shows up in post. It sucks, man. It sucks. Like that, I probably just rubbed my mic on my freaking shirt right after I just said that.
Strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, you know, killed or something at a very young age, because they just emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow.
I think that's cool, you know, that they have different armies that different, deal with different things. And then you have these ladies here who can kick some psyker butt, while you have the custodies who can kick some Astarte butt, basically. Anyways, I just think that's cool.
Vow of silence, as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature. But if there's a demon issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate.
Why not?
I hope they'll get some like news soon, because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore. But hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
Officio Assassinorum.
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human.
I just learned about this in the Eye of Terror. That, oh my goodness, I just forgot it. Assassinorum. Anyways.
Thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum. Oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man.
In the Eye of Terror, the girl straight up got through the guy's office, and the security, if she was able to do something with the security or turn it all off or something like that, and didn't see a thing. So that's crazy.
These people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio Assassinorum, a very special organization.
I love this guy, man. I love it.
By the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the what was it called? Scola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something. You get sent to this, and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of
that happens a lot in the Imperium.
The Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their
the
whole
prophet
point
suit.
is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks, waiting for their perfect target, taking people out from literal miles away after extremely long time periods.
Looks like the crisis suit, doesn't it?
Is about precise, perfect
I forget what it's called.
There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot. Time is done. Packs them up. The Calidus temple, however, is a lot more about shape-shifting.
I'm taking that, Bricky.
It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems.
That's interesting. I want to show you something here, too. This will probably be the last of it. So, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. So, Satan can transform. Very interesting. Anyways.
These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed. Or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And lots of drawings. Lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple.
That dumpy.
Kind of disturbing one. The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead. An Eversor is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you.
MK Ultra.
And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything
Back
is
when the
dead.
CIA
and
did
then
that.
you defrost, full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah,
Man.
You don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause.
Yeah. They'll be on drugs anyways. On hallucinogens.
Send them in. Finally, there's
Send
the
'em
most
in.
bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to the Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar, by quote, as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling
looks like
from
it.
that blank gene I mentioned.
Not the
And then
town.
imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If
Oh,
normally
jeez.
regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin
I'd say so.
to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker,
By the way, those women who did the thing with the angels, or the watchers is what they're called, they became the sirens. So it's very interesting.
oh no, the sheer presence of a Caluxus assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out
I'm out,
and
son.
rip your nails off than
Might as well
even
just
be
end me
near
now.
this person. The Caluxus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a
Yeah.
suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, that which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear. Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work the way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Calidus. You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then
Okay.
blow up Eversor. You want
That's
to kill
cool.
that one guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of Psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you
I guess
wanna
that's a
kill.
good
And you get to choose which.
Grey
which is really
Knight
fun.
option.
But now, let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition. And we have a lot to talk about with them.
I can feel the Inquisition breathing down my neck already. They're already headed my way.
On the subject of heresy!
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA,
KGB.
FBI, any of these.
CIA, FBI.
And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium. No, you know what? How about this?
They're the ones who do the exterminatus. Are the only ones who can do the exterminatus. If you don't know that.
This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing.
Yep.
The most powerful organization in the Imperium,
Hates
the
you.
secret police, their number one motto is innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and
By the way, in my opinion, I think the Inquisitor action RPG is a good game. I like it. I can't help it. Anyways.
Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning.
The Gene Stealers are a cult, right? A human cult or something like that. I don't know. Gene Stealers are probably the Tyranids, right? I think they're the Tyranids. I think they're called. It's called the Gene Stealer cult. Okay, sorry. Anyways, my bad.
That stuff and actually do detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't
Is
even
that Star
talked about
Wars in the
Exterminatus
background?
yet. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested, and taking it back will cost too many resources.
There's
and it's not worth it.
Exterminatus.
I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet, as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can
Shoot, the Emperor could take me. I do not want to live in something like that, man. You know, and that's the beauty of Warhammer, you know. Just crazy that's what happens, man, when you get religion and government together. I know I'm a Christian, but it's the truth.
means saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocents proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die in its entirety.
End me now, son. Do not let me live in it.
Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors are very rare to do.
You gotta admit.
Exterminatus is a
You gotta admit, the ships are the coolest thing, man. The Battlefleet
very
Gothic.
crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one. But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort
They're like,
into them. They're not quite
they're not necessarily
where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something, right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grim darkness. And wow, we just finished the humans, all right? Come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos.
Will do.
We got to talk about the 4 Chaos Gods and all the
That's going to be an interesting one.
And the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
All right. So please go check him out. Here's his.
To all of you, I wanted to say thank.
Here's his channel. Go like, subscribe, all that stuff, if you haven't yet. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day.